Dave O'Connor, most of you guys have spoken at several of these. Can you guys, I mean, there's a lot of people that maybe haven't been part of this in the past. Can you kind of give them a little background on what's going on as far as, you know, everything that happened up to this point? What votes have been taken in the past? Is that, I guess I'm just trying to get everybody up to speed, because I'm not sure everybody that's here has been here. Or is that for us to, we don't know the history on what, I know the history, but not everybody may know the history of what's going on.
Yes, Alton's nowhere. Folks, we could give a quick synopsis. If you want to give the Reader's Digest version, feel free.
Sure. So initially there was a decision by the board in April of last year to address the rates on the condition that an analyst was hired to take a more detailed look at the rates and provide suggestions. The suggestions provided were unpalatable, I think, to the community and to the board. So there was a decision made to reassess and look at two different models, primarily what we were calling the flat rate model, where everybody pays the same, and then a surcharge model where we kind of maintain the surcharge system at around 10%. Right now it's 9.63, so just raising it to an even number. Those models were discussed at a board meeting after they'd been delivered, and it was a fairly even split among the board. Since it does require a majority of the board to pass an ordinance, you know, going on split lines does not pass it. So we've regrouped, and you know, we're kind of here looking at the same things. The situation hasn't changed, the need hasn't changed, but it gave an opportunity for a public hearing to make it clear that those are the rates under consideration. And that, I guess, is the synopsis of why we're here today, is to rediscuss with the additional public input.
So the two options that are out there are for the people in the city limits to have a lower rate than the people in the rural areas, whether they're across the streets from the city limits or whether they're in out in the Meadows area or other areas that are served by the system.
Correct.
The other option is a flat rate where everybody pays the same.
Correct.
Okay.
Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I filled out the survey online I saw today, and I put a question in there concerning the charges for sewer. So how do you base those prices for the sewer on usage? Because if you're watering your yards in the summer, the water's not going down the sewer. Are you paying for that? Is that based on your consumption? Does that make sense?
So you're saying if you use water in your garden, is that?
So do you base sewer price on, you use 1,000 gallons of water, so is that automatically 1,000 gallons of sewer going through a unit?
Sure, Mike.
Generally, I believe on the utility bills and everything like that, your sewer is based on your water usage in January, February, and March. So if you're watering your grass or your garden, it doesn't apply.
Okay.
Your sewer rate's been assessed in the wintertime.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Larry?
The proposed differential between in-town and out of city customers is, what, about 10% now?
Yes, sir. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Jenny Williams, and I live outside of the city. And I would like to point out that I'm not sure that I understand why the rural people would have to pay the differential, because if I understand from prior meetings that we came to, we're actually pumping a majority of that water from the Meadows into Willard, correct? Or a large percentage.
Yes.
So, and if I understood correctly, I understand there's a surcharge, Republic, Stratford, and those places, but I believe that those cities are pumping the water out to the rural areas versus the Meadows is pumping it into Willard, so I'm not sure that really, at that point, that it makes sense for there to be a differential for the rural users.
I believe you were at the first meeting, correct, with the individual, no, the second meeting, where we discussed the rate analysis,
Yes.
where he went in depth about why it's customary for folks out of town to have a increased charge. And he went into it in depth, and that's, you know, obviously what we're gonna decide tonight is, you know, how the board feels about if that's appropriate, because what we wanna get away from is, you know, the thought that we have two systems. You know, we don't wanna look at it that, you know, the Meadow supplies the water and the city of Willard supplies the sewer. It's one system. It's one system that needs addressed. So that's what we're gonna do.
And I agree with you, and as you say those words, that kind of adds to the point of not having that differential.
Sure,
I mean, if it is in fact one system.
understood. Anything else? Yes, sir.
My name is Kelly Davis. I live outside the city, but I'm on the water. I just got a question about when you adjust your rates, are you guys gonna look to do some improvements in the system with some of this money? Are you looking for some future grants to renew some of your system out? I know you probably got some older mains around town that probably desperately need lifted to bigger sizes, and I'd like to see some more fire hydrants on our street. Would be nice just to have a couple extra hydrants if we could get them in there, things like that. So I understand the maintenance, I get all this. I just wanna know, is there some plans for the future, for some grants to be trying to get your hands on, or things like that, where we could see some improvements to reach out and make some adjustments to the system where it can grow and take on more for the city?
To answer your question, yes, absolutely. And at our prior work studies, Wes has a list of capital improvements for the system and things that need addressed as far as maintenance and repairs. So
Sure.
to answer your question, absolutely. And when it comes to grants and federal and state money, we are all very motivated to try to find money to bring back here.
That's good,
As much
that's
as we
exciting,
can
yeah,
get.
no, that's great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Monica Slatton, and I live in the Meadows, and my husband and I have been there 40 years, and I grow along with your question. So I asked about the sewer. I know we have a lagoon, and that is going to be taken out. So where is the hookup from, like where we are in the Meadows to Springfield? It's like we live closer to Springfield than Willard does, so I would think our charge would be less. And so I like to see, you talking about one water system, one sewer system, would like to see one rate for everybody.
Yes, sir. If you have something, feel free.
Well, I'm a new resident of Willard, okay? And, when I got my water bill, I got a little bit shocked, okay? Plus the sewer bill, okay? So, as I notice all these new subdivisions going around here, are you guys charging these new subdivisions for upgrades, for your future upgrades, or are you just are you just giving them a charge for a hookup?
Mike, you want to address that?
Yeah.
They get several charges now.
Yeah, so, my name's Mike Roosh, I'm the planning and development director. So, to answer your question, yes, the new development does get charged for capacity and for facility fees. So, they get charged per connection and they get charged for impact on the system. So, they actually get double charged versus what a regular citizen gets charged.
Yeah, see, I have one more question. Just me and my wife, okay, and sometimes we get a 4,000 gallon water meter, okay? And I can't see that we're using 4,000, I never have popped lid off and check the water meter, because I know you guys have it. And I know how to do this, I've done it for 40 years, so I know the water systems and stuff like that.
So some simple things you can do is you can call up the the utilities here, and they can give you a history of what your historical use is. So you know on average what your historical use is. So if you barely moved in, they can give you further back on what your house is used.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna just top the top off and check the water meter to see actually how many gallons we're using compared to what's electronic, when you drive by and hit the button.
Sure.
I haven't done that yet, but I've been thinking about it.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, if not, I'll close the public hearing and we will resume with our normal meeting at 7 p.m. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Need to order, and Janice, if you'll call roll.
Mayor Smith,
Present.
Alderman Villier, present, Alderman Hill,
Present.
Alderman King, Alderman Lancaster,
Present.
Alderman Swatash,
Present.
and Alderman Wilson.
Present.
Thank you, Mayor, we have a quorum.
All right, fantastic. Any amendments to the agenda?
Items 7, 8, and 10 in the consent agenda, they are prematurely included in that. January financials are not due yet, and then the December and January outstanding invoices are, and the end of the year stuff is something that Karen's working on, so those won't be in there. And then there were some department heads that were not included at the time of the packet because they weren't available, so they are. I believe Janice put those on your desk.
Yes, department head reports.
And then the civic review agreement was not included in the packet. Janice reported it's accidentally deleted. That is attachment for resolution 16 on the agenda.
Love how the new homes.com helps them get quick answers about any property by connecting them to the actual listing agent.
I gotta kill this thing.
Sounds like movie night. We get a big screen up here, Steve.
This evening's meeting is sponsored by.
Sorry about that. I don't know how to do it.
Is there a 25-year-old in the crowd?
Junior.
Gotta be a teenager somewhere.
Down in the grandkids tell me I think so.
I do the same thing. All right.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
Mike's gonna turn down, you'll never be able to listen to anything you ever see.
He's never gonna find anything. I'm finding all the good stuff out here.
All right. So that's it, Wes, for the,
That's it.
all right. Get a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the necessary adjustments.
Second.
Okay, we have the first. Alderman Villier? Yes. Alderman Hill?
Yes.
Alderman King?
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster?
Yes.
Alderman Swatash?
Yes.
And Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 3, the consent agenda. Anything other ones you just mentioned, Wes? I think it covers everything that he just cited. So if there are no questions, or you need a couple minutes to take a look at those items, feel free. If not, we'll have a motion. It all looks good. Can we
Make a motion that we accept the consent agenda with the revisions.
A second. Okay, we have a first and a second. Alderman Hilliard?
Yes.
Alderman Hill?
Yes.
Alderman Keane?
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster?
Yes.
Alderman Swatash?
Yes.
And Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 4, current outstanding invoices, drafts, and check pay invoices. Anything of note there, Wes?
No, we had a few added, we had some, overlaps and some issues at the end of the year. Diana got, I think 15 in there, 6 didn't show up, and some she needed clarification of process, but they're all ones we couldn't wait until the next go around.
Nobody has any questions or concerns or comments about the invoices and et cetera? Can we get a motion?
Make a motion to approve the additional checks and invoices for December.
Second. Okay, we have a first and a second. Alderman Hilliard?
Yes.
Alderman Hill?
Yes.
Alderman Keane?
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster?
Yes.
Alderman Swatash?
Yes.
And Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 5, citizen input. If anybody would like to provide any input, feel free to step forward and state your name and your address and let us know what's on your mind. Okay. Having seen nobody, we'll close section 5. Item number 6, resolutions. A resolution authorizing the mayor to sign work authorization number AMA-OC-WILL-24-0002 to the agreement for professional services.
This is an agreement with Alderman to assist us with infrastructure work. It does not commit the city to any spending, it commits us to work with them. So with the process, I think prices will be submitted. This is for Meadows work, right? You know?
Pardon?
The Alderman, they work on the Meadows connection.
Outer Martin's under a specific contract for Meadows extension,
Yeah.
but this avails them for on-call if you wanna engage them in some minor project
Okay.
without doing an
Apologies,
RFQ and all
got it
that.
mixed up, but it doesn't commit the city to spending. It just allows us to reach out to them for those infrastructure services.
Come here, would it be a work authorization that Wes would bring to the board to actually engage them in something specific?
Okay. So we need a motion for the resolution.
I make a motion for a resolution authorizing the mayor to sign work authorization number AMA-OC-WILL-24-0002 to agreement for professional services.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Alderman Hilliard?
Yes.
Alderman Hill?
Yes.
Alderman Keane?
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster?
Yes.
Alderman Swatash?
Yes.
And Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 14, the Board of the City of Willard, Missouri duly adopted a resolution to enter into a First Amendment to site lease with option on the property described in Exhibit A with SBA Monarch Towers 3 LLC, a Delaware limited liability company.
This is an extension of an agreement we already have. I think they've been leasing it year to year. They've agreed to lease it for a period of 30 years. The tower at the Parks and Rec Center with 5% annual increases baked in. Try to get them to buy out the lease to kind of help refill the reserves for parks, but this was as close as we could get, was a long-term lock-in.
Make a motion that we extend the agreement with Monarch.
Second. Okay, we have a first and a second. Alderman Hilliard?
Yes.
Alderman Hill?
Yes.
Alderman Keane?
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster?
Yes.
Alderman Swatash?
Yes.
And Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, item number 15, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Willard, Missouri to enter into a 5-year agreement with Motorola Solutions, Inc. to provide new dash cams, body cameras, and additional related services and equipment at a total cost of $88,700 over the agreement period.
This was an agreement that was budgeted for in the 2025 authorized budget. Tom was actually able to secure a slight discount over what we anticipated, so it's coming in about $1,000 cheaper as a 5-year period. So we actually got a little bit of a sweet deal. It's still under the limit. It is obviously a large expenditure over time, but it will allow the officers to get better information on their dash cams. Currently the system is fuzzy, and then it has connected body cams, so the whole system is kind of self-contained. It provides, since we're going with a lease structure instead of an outright purchase, it also gives them additional utilities so they can work cases within the system, blur things that are maybe in court that need to be blurred for privacy of individuals not related to the activities, and then lifetime backup of the video instead of based on server volume. So it's actually a very good.
If they maintain the storage, are you saying that they're gonna maintain the storage even at the expiration of the agreement?
Now, I think we're responsible for taking care of that stuff if it does expire, yes. But yeah, the storage, as far as while the agreement's in place, I understand it's an unlimited system, so I guess it's how they encourage you to stick around because it's easier. But,
And is it, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step in front of you. Do you know if the chief's already been working on a policy for body cams?
I believe he has a policy in place, but I can certainly revisit with him and make sure what it contains and present that to the board at next meeting.
What is the replacement policy should there be damage?
Yeah, because we're on lease, they're just replacing
They
it.
replace it.
And then if there's an upgrade, we get an upgrade as well, which they did say they anticipate an upgrade shortly after we sign the lease.
Okay.
We would qualify for these body cams to be upgraded with the latest equipment.
And so all the latest equipment upgrades are pro bono.
That was our understanding, yes.
Right.
Mhm. Certainly they did specify the new body cams will be coming out, I think. And of course it may change, I believe it was mid-2025 they said, so in theory we should get those shortly after they roll out, and then they supplement for us as well. It was a neat little system. It was very
Training and
impressive.
setup services are all.
That's included, the first year has a slightly higher fee because of the setup and training. so
Initial
it's-
setup,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Anything else?
I'll make a motion that we enter into a contract with Motorola Solutions to provide body and dash cams.
Get the. We have a first and a second. Alderman Billiard.
Yes.
Alderman Hill.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster.
Yes.
Alderman Swaha.
Yes.
And Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 16, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a software subscription agreement with Civic Review.
This was a fairly impressive system. Mike had looked into it to replace our iWorks system, which was not quite serving the purposes we hoped. They gave us a demo of this system, and it looks like it can do more than just building permits. It also provides a more automated workflow system, so somebody can apply for a permit online, and it creates a ticketing system that we can work on the back end. It also allows them to pay their fees online, and it tracks it to the ticket. It was pretty cool little system. The other added benefit that filled a need, it allows business licenses to be kind of followed the same way. So for example, as Janice receives a business license application online, allows her to work it and send requests back to the requester, the licensee, for more information. It was a pretty neat self-contained little system. Hard to do it justice, considerably cheaper than what we're paying, and has the added benefit of an additional need fulfilled. And it also looks like we can customize it ourselves without needing to involve them for future needs like code enforcements and whatnot. So it also looks like public works ticketing. So lots of options that other cities have kind of put in there. So we see good benefit for the town as far as allowing people to submit information through the portal, to us, that we can work on the back end and respond to the ticket.
That it has added transparency for the citizens, so anybody that submits, they know exactly where in the process, they can log in and see exactly where they are, whether it's a business license or a building permit or whatever.
Only the individual that submitted the ticket, or can anybody look it up?
No, just the individual that submitted the ticket can look to see where their progress is, you know, but, yeah. It's pretty transparent on where they're at and what needs to happen, and it allows for direct contact, so if somebody from City Hall had a problem, they would just direct message directly to the individual, and they can find that on their account. This is what needs to be updated, resend it, we're done, so.
I'd also talked to them about, our aim to introduce performance scorecards, and, it does provide some data for that as well, so we could drill down and see how quickly we're processing things, how many we're processing, and payments received and all that. So it seems like it fills some needs that we have, some that we didn't, think we would solve with one program. So it seems like a good bang for our buck on this one.
What's the cost savings from the system that we are replacing?
$4,000 a year.
Savings?
And it seems like it kind of works like our website does. We can reach out to them, they'll help us with setting things up and figuring things out without charging us through the nose to do so. For the most part, it's free unless it's a significant change to the system.
That was one thing that was, set them apart from a lot of different programs, was their customer service was almost instantaneous. If you had a question, you instant message, and within 5 minutes, somebody's on the line with you, going over a question or an issue, so.
So would that allow you to automate, I know Janice has been working on city license,
So
as customers come online, you would just.
There was some great feedback on that. In some cases, someone with an existing business license in the system could be a no-touch, as long as they provide their fees and documentation, it can start the process.
They were saying upwards to high 80% that the clerk will not even see. It'll be self-processed, self-paid. So she's saving 80% of her time because the program will do it for her.
Good.
Do we need a motion on this one?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll make a motion to save money.
Yes, you will.
I make a motion that we accept the resolution, to enter into, let me find where it's at, which number? 17. 16, to software subscription agreement with Civic Review. Second. One like paper.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Alderman Billiard?
Yes.
Alderman Hill?
Yes.
Alderman King?
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster?
Yes.
Alderman Slatosh?
Yes.
And Alderman Wilson? Yes. Thank you.
All right, item 17, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a software service agreement with Breakground.
This is probably Mike's dream. Do you want to explain?
Oh, I would love to
I know you're
explain
giddy
this.
about it.
So Breakground is an AI program that is gonna greatly increase efficiency. Basically, we can put all the city codes in, all the zoning codes in, all the building codes in, and if we have a question, we type in fences, and it pulls up all the codes. And
I can see why this is your dream.
I can finally get something right. That is my dream.
Is it gonna spell for you?
It will. So, it was a really amazing, program, and then I was sold on the program, but then Wes broke out his Arkansas Razorbacks diploma, and they almost gave it to us. They almost paid us to take it. It was. I don't know what the University of Arkansas has to do with anything, but they're from Northwest Arkansas, so.
The funny story was that, they talked about their investors being from Northwest Arkansas, said, oh, I'm a Razorback, does that get us a discount? And they said, well, we don't know, but we'll ask. And then they came in and said, yeah, our investors said they'd give you all a discount. I said, okay. So sometimes it helps to be a Razorback.
It was pretty steep.
Not very often.
often.
So.
Not very often, but
Is
this one, they.
Is this one usable by the public, or is that just in-house?
It was a public facing, wasn't it? I thought he mentioned a public facing.
Can it be interfaced with the city website where somebody wanted to look up what code?
That's what I was.
Absolutely.
Interface
We,
with that.
we'll look at an interface.
They're still developing it, and I'm sure they have lots of plans for the future that we can certainly ask them.
So as a customer, you can find what your codes are.
Yeah. I think they have their own, it will be one of those things that we probably have to link to
For
it
those of us
from
that
our
don't want to
website.
break our,
No, we don't want to break our lovely website, it's been doing really well.
no, I was talking about we don't want to break any building codes.
Oh, no, we don't want to do that either.
Oh, you're way too far down that road, dude. So yeah, it was, like I said, it was a really impressive program, comes at a very reasonable price, so, any questions?
What is the reasonable price?
$4,000.
$4,000.
Down from 50% discount.
Hey, that Razorback discount did pay off.
It did well, it did well on that one.
Looks like it's a one-time fee and
It's
not
a
a
one-
subscription.
Yep, so we may not get it next year. It'll give us a chance to look at it, kick the tires, see if it really does help. If it does help, we'll revisit, but likely we won't get the Razorback discount next time, but you never know, I'll try. I'm not ashamed to try.
I would make a motion that we accept the resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a software service agreement with Break.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Alderman Boyer?
Yes.
Alderman Hill?
Yes.
Alderman Keane?
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster?
Yes.
Alderman Swatash?
Yes.
And Alderman Wilson?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, item number 18. This is our second read, I believe. An ordinance extending the agreement with Southwest Missouri Engineers LLC doing business as Cochran for engineer services. Have any further discussion about that?
Just a reminder, I guess it's been about a month. This is just we're allowed 2 extensions with Cochran. This would be our first extension of their agreement. It's an on-call agreement, so we can reach out to the services that they cover. It's just an infrastructure support team, that's the way I look at it. And also doesn't commit us to any payments, you know, we reach out, we would ask them what we need, they give us a quote, and then that will be, you know, the work authorization that we would enter into.
They're just an on-hand service.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, if there's nothing else. Jen?
An ordinance extending the agreement with Southwest Missouri Engineers LLC doing business as Cochran for engineering services and authorizing the mayor to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city of Willard.
Make a motion to approve the ordinance as read.
Second?
Okay, we have a first and a second. Alderman Villier?
Yes.
Alderman Hill?
Yes.
Alderman Keane?
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster?
Yes.
Alderman Swatash?
Yes.
And Alderman Wilson?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Item 19 is also a second read. An ordinance of the city of Willard, Missouri establishing a policy to prevent conflict of interest in property-related matters for members of the Board of Aldermen and the Planning and Zoning Commission.
This will be the second read, and the board requested that this be to cover all appointed boards and peoples employed by the city, so that would need to be incorporated into the read.
Yeah. I remember we talked about adding basically all commissions.
Yeah.
So in essence, anybody that may have an interest in a zoning issue or city-related matter that sits on a board must recuse him or herself from any discussions and votes regarding the subject property.
And as we discussed before, we are still governed by, you know, we have an MEC obligation that we have to fulfill. We do have our own conflict policy, but this was specifically to cover some of these property interests of concern.
Yep. I think it's a good idea. If you have questions.
An ordinance of the city of Willard, Missouri establishing a policy to prevent conflicts of interest in property-related matters for members of the Board of Aldermen and the Planning and Zoning Commission.
And all of those commissions.
And all other commissions.
Make a motion to accept the ordinance as read.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Alderman Bellier?
Yes.
Alderman Hill?
Yes.
Alderman Keane?
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster?
Yes.
Alderman Swatas?
Yes.
And Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, item number 20, an ordinance, this is the first reading, I believe, an ordinance by the Board of Aldermen of the City of Wheeler, Missouri to amend the convenience fee for alternative payment.
Correct, this will be a first read, so, Carolyn, is here to provide a little bit more detail, but in short, we determined that the convenience fees that we were being charged were higher than the ones that we were collecting from the public. So as far as maintaining the cost of service structure, we need to make sure we align our convenience fees with what we're being charged.
Now you're talking about like with card swipes?
Card swipes, yep, paying online, things like that. Now, if you pay online with a card, I believe there's an additional $1.25 that they collect directly from the payroll. But as far as what we do, I believe it was 6.6% was what they told us they've gone up to from 3%. This is a significant increase. But we've been eating that for a little bit, and we need to kind of address. There are other options, of course, if people want to avoid it. I know, it's just another nickel and another dime being taken from people trying to pay their bills. But unfortunately, that is a cost that we do need to pass on to the consumer. And we just encourage them to pay cash, pay check, set up online the bank account to do the electronic debit, and they can avoid the fee. Carolyn, did you want to add any extra or more detail on that?
Originally, it was considerably more. We were able to negotiate and get it down to 6.6. If we sign a contract, that's just a guarantee for 18 months. It's considerable, it's $250, not $125.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Additional.
But that, as I understand it, was what they charge their end rate.
A lot of people, use the credit cards, debit cards right now, to make payment, so it is a considerable cost to the city, up and above what the cost is to the customer currently.
And can we shop providers, or are we stuck in a box with them because that's where our money goes?
Part of the problem is the software we have will not support another processor. So we used to do that, shop, but we can't, if they want to support it, if we have a problem, then they will not support it, will not help us with it. So we either have to stay where we are or change softwares. Totally.
So this is coming from our bank?
This is coming from our software company. They didn't do this at the very beginning, but partway, I don't know, we had it a few years, they said that they were changing to this particular processor. If we did not use them, we didn't have to, but they would not support the software with the credit card processor of another company.
We just start sending them checks.
So.
The plan going forward is we'll start to explore other software options, because I don't particularly like the.
Yeah, I know, then, as we can all see from the software program, that those don't come cheap either.
They don't come cheap, and the setup fees are usually what sting you. But it's kind of like insurance company, I think every now and then you have to at least look around and do the exercise. There are other options out there. Sadly, there aren't many what they would call enterprise softwares where they do all the things that we need. And then you want to put the patchwork, which gets you better systems, but then you're dragging windows around and trying to figure it out. But at least we can do the exercise and see the fees were, as Carolyn said, they were considerable, and we were able to negotiate them down, but they kind of started slipping them in there on the slide. So that was a good discovery, but an unfortunate discovery, especially in light of all the other discussions we have going on about, water rates and sewer rates. So I think we owe it to the public to at least do the exercise, shop around, see what the options are, consider those, even if it's to consider them and say, well, it's probably cheaper to stay for a little while and make a plan for the future to make a change. It's not the best program out there that we use, but it is one of the top programs out there, so they may not be a great option, to be honest with you guys, but if you don't ask, you don't know.
So what we're finding from this is everybody needs to pay by check.
Ideally, yeah, if you pay by check, you pay by cash, or you sign up for ACH and we take it out of your bank account, there is no fee on that, unless your bank charges a fee, but most don't.
Yeah, I mean, and I have experience with this at work, and it feels crazy that that's what they charge, but I mean, that's what we have to do is pass it on.
I know every time I've ever processed payments on the backside, you know, we got charged, but goodness.
It's not a pleasant number, and it took Carolyn a while before they actually would lock us down and give us something in writing with a percentage, because they were being a little squirrely. Yeah, it's not.
Especially when you figure everybody uses their debit or credit.
Well,
That's,
you guys are uniquely situated because you're government, so you're not supposed to use your money to supplement
right.
private funds, and since it's an actual fee you're charging, right now, we're paying those fees for whoever's using the card, and that's not supposed to.
That's not supposed to happen.
What kind of timeframe would we look at for, not only,
They're already charging it, so really we would
well, I mean,
seek to implement this.
seeking other
Oh.
venues?
We can begin the hunt right away, but as far as budgeting and implementing, I went through this exercise in Kansas. I mean, it was around $100,000 for
For new software, yeah.
that included implementation, setup, and migration. Then there are other risks as far as, you know, if there's every year we have a financial audit, and if we change softwares at a time that's inconvenient for the audit, it can be trouble finding the records and things like that. They have to dig into systems, they have to do a lot of extra work, so that can up the cost of the audit. So we would definitely want to make sure our auditors give us kind of a time frame of, you know, where's a safe window, what are some records we need to make sure we maintain in both systems and get their input to make sure it's done well.
Is it worth the cost for the city to spend to do that versus trying to migrate people using?
Again, that's a question that I think will come up as we explore. You know, if you create efficiencies with a new software, potentially like we're talking about business licenses for Janice, by saving $4,000, we actually potentially have 80% of her business license workload taken care of with the click of a button. So if you're creating an efficiency and you're changing it in an informed manner that fits well for the city, it could work and it could be done well, but you know, I've been through, maybe fortunate enough to have been through what I would call a failed software implementation in my former state, and there were questions that weren't asked, so I'm maybe better prepared to think about the questions that should be asked. But I think if we focus on making sure it's serving our community well as far as finances, it's serving our employees well as far as creating efficiency and not adding to the workload, it might be a conversation we have.
All right, since that one was a first read, we don't need any motions on that. And what everybody's been waiting for, item number 21. An ordinance for the city of Wheeler, Missouri, amending Title 7 Utilities, Chapter 705, Water Rates, Article 2, Water Rates, and this is the second read.
This would be the first.
I'm sorry, first read. We've done the first and second, now we're back to the beginning, yes.
A motion would need to be made about which model, if any, the board will be.
We have both in your packets, kind of an A and B, so we'll start with one, and I guess if that passes, we move on. So there's notice for both, it's just.
If there needs to be any discussion amongst yourself, I mean, have it, and then we'll look for a motion on which model we're gonna go with.
No discussion, I'll make a motion. I make a motion that we keep the model with the 10% per the surveys that we've had, conversations that we've had. I think that is what our citizen input is telling us as well.
I'll second that motion. Tim, you're saying 10% for inside
The
versus
differential,
outside.
yes,
Outside, we would pay the 10% difference versus the inside city limits.
yes.
Yes. We have a first and a second.
Well, we got first to move forward with that, so if we want, still on first reading, if there's, wants to be discussion, I guess we need to take a vote for whether that's the one we're gonna move forward with first. And if they say that's the one we're gonna move forward with, then you can move to second reading and then have debate on it.
Okay. So we have the first and the second.
Oh, first and second, I didn't second reading. All right,
Pay attention.
trying to keep us on track and you were 2 steps ahead.
I tend to move too quick.
Sorry.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Alderman Hilliard.
No.
Alderman Hill.
No.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Alderman Lancaster.
Yes.
Alderman Swantosh.
No.
Alderman Wilson.
No.
So, now, the second read for the second option, correct?
Yeah, that's the only one that's left.
There's only one left, so,
I would make a motion for a flat rate across the board, whether you're in or out of city limits.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Alderman Villier.
Yes.
Alderman Hill.
Yes.
Alderman King.
No.
Alderman Lancaster.
No.
Alderman Swantosh.
Yes.
And Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Is it,
so the flat rate passed. So I'll have Janice read second
well,
reading.
if there's no more debate on the first reading, then the mayor can do that to second reading, and then you can debate at that time if you want to do that. You can debate on the first reading, and then you can move it to second reading, but either way.
Does anybody need to have any more debate, period?
Did it pass? Because they each had, there was like 4 no's.
No, there are 4 yeses.
4 yeses to move forward on the flat.
Okay, gotcha.
So we can move to the second reading. If you guys don't have any more discussion amongst yourselves, any debate? Okay, so Janice can move to the second reading.
Yes.
Okay, an ordinance of the City of Willard, Missouri, amending Title 7 Utilities, Chapter 705, Water Rates, Article 2, Water Rates, to increase at a flat rate.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, item number 22. Oh, I'm sorry.
You need to take
Oh, I'm sorry, we need a motion on
motion and then.
second
actual-
reading.
And then debate
I
and
make a
an actual
motion
vote.
to approve the ordinance as read. Right?
Yes.
Second.
No, we already said no.
Well, and then on the second reading, yes.
Do we have any debate on the second reading? Still no. Now, we need the first and second again, or no, we need the first, last
They
reading.
already made first and second.
All right.
Okay, Alderman Villier.
Yes.
Alderman Hill.
Yes.
Alderman King. Alderman Lancaster.
No.
Alderman Swantosh.
Yes.
And Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now to 22. An ordinance of the City of Willard, Missouri, amending Title 7 Utilities, Chapter 710, Sewer Use and Sewer Rates, Article 7, Wastewater Charges and Rates. So this is going also the second reading. Is there any debate?
First reading first, and then we need to have somebody tell us which one they want to take it first.
Perfect.
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the flat rate on sewer as well.
I'll second you.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Alderman Villier.
Yes.
Alderman Hill.
Yes.
Alderman King.
No.
Alderman Lancaster.
No.
Alderman Swantosh.
Yes.
And Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now move to the second reading. But I have to ask if there's any more debate for the second reading. Still no debate?
We'll start to read it, and then we'll have the first and second on the second reading, and then, yeah, I guess you can ask for it.
Government so efficient. Go ahead, James.
Just so they know what they're voting on.
Okay, so this is an ordinance of the City of Willard, Missouri, amending Title 7 Utilities, Chapter 710 Sewer Use and Sewer Rates, Article 7 Wastewater Charges and Rates, increases at a flat rate.
I make a motion that we approve the ordinance as written.
Second.
Okay. So we have a first and a second. Alderman Billiard?
Yes.
Alderman Hill?
Yes.
Alderman Keane? Alderman Lancaster?
No.
Alderman Swatash?
Yes.
And Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. All right.
I'll move quickly to the next one.
You're abstaining.
All right. Probably at some point. Item number 23, sanitary sewer status update. I'm assuming this is you, Steve.
All right, I'll keep it humble talking. On the 94 lift station in Forest Main, we received our second payment from USCPA under our reimbursement request. Design of electrical, plumbing, mechanical, it's about 90% complete. Right now, Alder Martin is reviewing the costs and engineering of ductile iron pipe versus high-density polyethylene pipe for the Forest Main to Springfield. We'll probably end up with 2 bid alternates when we put it out for bid. One for ductile iron, one for high-density polyethylene. We should have all the plans and specs together by the end of this month. So at that point, we'd be ready to put it on the street for bid. On the meadows, we responded to the construction permit application questions from Missouri Department of Natural Resources. My written report says we expect the issuance of the permit soon. I want to qualify that. We received it last week. So we've got our construction permit for the Meadows extension. Our land disturbance permit from DNR has been obtained. Our license agreement with Springfield Airport Board has been executed and recorded. City of Springfield has accepted our plans with a little minor change regarding easement on them. We've not heard back from the county yet, but this is not a holdup. And easement negotiations with the landowners are in progress. We got some title work we're sorting out because we got a little complication of trust involved on the tract. I anticipate having easements for your approval on January 27th.
Great.
Any questions, be glad to answer them.
All right, thank you. Move to item number 24, I guess would be city administrator remarks. Guilty.
Well, first and foremost, just to let everybody know, there was an email hack earlier today of the clerk's email account. It was compromised and there was an email sent to about 200 people. Jeremy thinks, IT Jeremy.
Yeah.
There were some Zoom links in there, and I understand some of them were blocked by the system. We have a kind of a system that kind of looks after stuff, and then some of them were not. So if anybody watching this video or friends have said they received a strange email from the clerk, please don't interact with it other than to delete it. IT Jeremy is looking into what happened and see if we can make sure that filters a little bit. Carolyn had plan to have something set up this year for kind of testing staff to make sure we're not, opening ourselves up to compromise by clicking links and things like that. So that system should roll out and test if we can get that implemented in time, probably sooner than later, given the recent learning experience. I'll report back if anything else needs to be brought to the board's attention on the compromise, but best you could tell it was confined to one email account and just sent a list of random emails to random individuals. So, hopefully that's as far as it went. We received a bond letter from BAC LLC, which we're proud to share with everybody today. It's a certificate of excellence recognizing 10 years of commitment to SEC Rule 15C 12-12 or 2-12. The rule ensures transparency and accountability in municipal securities by requiring timely and accurate disclosure of information. Financial and operational, we got a lovely little certificate here. And hopefully it will coincide with a bond upgrade at some point, but you never know. Currently our city's bond rating is A+, so it's not too bad for a city of our size. Personnel-wise, I've talked about this off and on, and the more I dig, the more I find I have something else to do before I can get to what I wanted. So we have begun work on updating performance evaluation policies. Given some of the intricacies of the work, and moreover, it's going to be a more overarching overhaul, it turns out. Watch the space. Essentially, I found that we have a grade and step system, but it's kind of all over the place, so we're going to kind of bring that into modern standards and combine it with the updated performance evaluations, merit, and everything else we work on. So that's going to be a big project for this year, I think. Scorecards, this morning, department heads were challenged with deciding on some metrics for their relevant departments, so we can start measuring those and showing the public what we do or don't do, so we can aim for better. Metrics have different meanings to different people. There are some things that I think are kind of no-brainers, and then some things that maybe are more personal to a department. So we started those conversations, so we can see. The example I gave this morning was, if we get a pothole, how quickly are we fixing that? If we've got a budget of X amount, how close are we to achieving that? How are we spending on a monthly basis? Things like that kind of report our progress as a community, sharing some of the good and then focusing on some of the things maybe we could do better on. So it works just like that. It's like a report card. Advisory board, the water advisory board is still taking applications. The application period will close January 31st. So anybody who's interested in serving on the water advisory board, I would encourage them to do so. Hope to present the applications in February so that appointments can be made. Anybody interested should reach out for an application. We'll be glad to get those to you. My goal is to have an initial meeting with the selected advisory board in February, just kind of informal, setting up meeting frequency, expectations, goals, and getting their feedback and input as far as what direction they want to take. One big question, I think, at this point with the rate being passed will be progress. I think the community will expect to see progress. I think the advisory board will be able to be a big part of developing what that message looks like and sharing with the community, and also bringing concerns back about any progress issues that the community feels, so we can address those as well. And I'm looking forward to working with them, and hopefully that the people who have applied to get appointed look forward to doing that as well. Website and the app. Website's holding up pretty well. It's been in place now for a couple of months. The app just recently released about 3 weeks ago. We've been messaging out. Uptake of the app is growing. It's been serving as a good way to get messaging out quickly to people. We have been seeing some information that it's being used. Aptigee, the company that's helping us, is doing metrics for that, so in another 3 weeks when the marketing period ends, we should be able to provide some metrics as far as uptake, use, and performance of the app. And of course our hope is to give another outlet to give information quickly to the public, and we want to make sure it's doing that and serving that purpose. Public Works, just a big shout out to the Public Works crew. We had several long hours with the recent snow event. They started working at 8:30 at night as the snow was coming in, and kept working through the next day, trained up a new crew member to join the team and run the plow. They did a fantastic job. I'm sure some will disagree, but as far as communities I've lived in and traveled through, particularly seeing other communities in our area on Sunday afternoon, I think our team did a fantastic job, so I wanted to publicly acknowledge their work in that regard. And then the last thing I have in here is an I&I plan, working with Public Works to develop a more aggressive plan to tackle and find I&I. I think over the years there's been plans, but they maybe haven't been pushed as hard. I think talking with JR and Trevor, they're excited to finally get to the root of it and have that support and backing to get it done.
In the past, we talked about that robot, did that just not pan out, or is that not?
What we're working on right now is what does the plan look like? Where are we gonna tackle? I think that, you know, when we're going out on I&I and trying to figure that out, maybe focusing on the private side is not the best, first focus. I suspect public will be larger issues, particularly in the old part of town, so we're looking at a plan that will maybe tackle that so we can get our house in order before we expect the public to do the same. We may try to do a combination of some public side if we do smoke testing. But right now, it's just a draft plan. We're trying to compare it and bring in elements of what the city paid for a couple of years ago with Alden Martin. They actually developed a plan that would guide the city into going out and checking certain things and looking at certain places. We had flow meters that I don't think were used, other than setting them in. I don't know if we actually got deep in that, so I've worked with a guy at Burns McConnell that has experience with the flow meters and testing. So they're gonna test those for us and see if we get the software set up. Apparently the laptop that the software was on, which is proprietary, can't download it from the internet. If everything works, they'll help us get it set up. If it doesn't, then we can revisit, do we need to buy new flow meters? To avoid that cost, we may try to visually inspect some of these manholes. So that's kind of what we're working on in a nutshell, and, you know, rather than making it an agenda item, I just want to give you an update that we are working towards a plan and executing the plans so that we find some of these issues again. Speaking to the public, expecting progress now on some of these issues, we'll want to have a plan in place and start executing it and showing where we're finding issues and what we're doing to correct those. Public Works believes they may be able to solve some of those issues as well, so I think it'd be a good opportunity for our staff to show what they can do. And that is all I have going on in the city this week.
I'd like to echo your sentiment with Trevor and Shane sitting here and acknowledge them, because I drove through several towns the night after the snowstorm, and far and away, I would say proportionally, we had many more roads cleared than a lot of the other jurisdictions I drove through that day. So, thank you guys. I think you did a great job. All right. Any unfinished business? Nothing? And, all I got is 27, to recess the open session and open the closed session pursuant to RSMO section 610.021, number 3, personnel. That's you.
I make a motion that we recess the open session and open the closed session pursuant to RSMO section 610.021, subsection 3 personnel.
Thank you for coming, everybody. Thank you for your input.
Should adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Wow.
Everybody says yes?
All in favor, yes.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.